saying that
Because
waking up can only happen in our server, in our brain. Because everything has a physical...
It's mental. You can break out the matrix mentally, but not physically.
Right. It's a mental interplay that affects the server that you're playing in, dependent on you knowing why, how, and what is working for you. Because that's when you're saying, that's when you wake up, when in the dream, you know that you're in a dream. But sometimes you don't wake up. Sometimes you continue to dream. So in a way, you continuing, nonetheless, of you knowing
is what we're talking about.
Is what we're talking about, exactly.
The interplay. The fact that regardless of
is
you
it what
knowing,
yeah.
you can't get out regardless of. You can only get out mentally. You can be right here in a moment in time. Close your eyes and be somewhere else. Your mind is limitless. Like, it has limitless potential. Your mind is the key.
It's like the universe itself. The server
Yes.
itself imprinted in you.
Exactly.
In a way. Okay. So you come with the hows and the whys and the whats and the... That's what I was saying about you grow, like either if you grow from a parent, an orphanage or whatever, the way you get nurtured and maintained is a part of the server itself having you as existence in it.
Type shit.
You not only have an existence in the server, but you have the server in existence. You know what I'm talking about?
That's exactly what I'm trying to say.
Right. So why do we feel sometimes, or why does one feel? Why do people feel in a way like they're not serving? If they have all those things, if one has the existence in the server, but also the server in existence,
because it's
then
a malfunction.
why? What is
because
the
you're not
malfunction?
supposed to wake up and know that you're in a game.
Okay.
So when people do, you're kind of fucking up the way the game works.
Right.
And that's why you become depressed.
Right.
And feel ill.
Because you're not.
Because you are too far beyond what contents the game. So what comes with that is a sacrifice.
Right.
If you choose to wake up, you're never gonna unknown like everything.
That reminds me of that thing in the OA when you know Zendaya, the character of Zendaya. The character
Zendaya was not in the OA.
Bro, she was, first of all. That she was in the other reality and she was playing the actual game. What the fuck? She was playing the game that what we're talking about right now. The game in the phone. That basically she had to go through all these thingies, all these obstacles, and that's when they transitioned into the other reality, the other alternate universe. When she finally got to the end of the game, that Zendaya, the character, was playing. Remember, this reminds me of that moment. This reminds me of that moment because that character went through it, trying to figure all this shit out about the game. And at the end of the day, the character ended up completing along with the other one. Or there was something that happened to that character individually. Damn, what were we talking about before this? Because I was connecting those two things.
How you're not supposed to know because you're changing. You know too much far beyond the game, basically.
Right. You know far beyond the game. That character knew far beyond the game, was still willing to explore it. Nonetheless, it wasn't for her to get through it. Get through the answer. It was for the OA, the girl, the blonde girl, which she ended up getting through it. That pinhole, that peep, that pin through time in space into an alternate. It's kind of like we talk about how we have this mental map constantly. You know how people on TikTok, everybody, we have this mental map where we can change our universes, change our alternates, like our timelines. We could jump timelines, right?
Yeah.
But we can only do it mentally, in
That's
a way.
what I'm saying.
In a way, our factor of getting that physical and that mental to join that physical or getting the physical to join the mental is in a way by playing the game and not only getting to its last course, but understanding it enough to basically to where you're pinned, to not question it completely and get stuck like the Zendaya character, but also push through in an innocence type of bliss, like the girl, the blonde
Yes.
girl.
It's the
Okay,
balance.
so it's that
It's the
balance that
balance
helps
of
you
when
get
you know
through.
too much.
Yes.
You need to kind of
Keeps
like,
the mental and keeps the physical at a balance. That
You need to
balance
ground yourself.
is what gets you through to that pinhole.
This is
To
so
that,
crazy.
to getting that mental and that alternate timeline, like actual physicality, in a way.
Look, this
What?
kind of goes
Go.
into
The dream.
no, not the dream.
Okay.
I don't know exactly how it goes together, but I know.
No,
it
I
does.
know it does because it came right now.
Because okay, what I was gonna say is like grounding.
Right.
That's why it's so important when you have woken up to ground yourself,
Right.
because you can't be
In two places at once.
exactly.
I
You
was-
have to know that
Thank you.
physically you're
I was
still
just about to
here.
ask you that. Yes.
You're still here, so
You're still
you can't.
in. Yes.
If you go too far out, you're
Too
not
beyond
playing
your
the game,
reach.
and you're wasting the server.
But what are you wasting from the server? The server that's installed in you is in a different server, and it's not playing with its same foundations in a way.
You're not interacting with the game.
You're not interacting with the server.
Exactly. So it's kind of like you're not.
Why does that give you that energy? Because I'm studying energy right now, and you gave like a sigh when you were thinking about that, like getting through the pin, and in a way living within those two branches of existence. You like did a sigh. Why do you feel like it's kind of like you're wasting? You said something about wasting.
It's not wasting. It's
But you
just
said
kinda,
that.
You kind of are wasting because.
And why does it make you feel like that?
Like the whole purpose of
Because I feel like
something.
you're channeling like something.
The whole purpose of something
Right.
is like if you're playing a game and you knew at the end like you were gonna win,
Right.
regardless of like if you got killed.
Right.
Like let's say you're playing Subway Surfers, like if regardless if you got hit by a train, you know how when in a game you have multiple lives.
Yeah. You have a second
For
chance.
you, it's kind of like you don't really care how you play because it's like, bitch, I'm gonna live again. So it's that. When you're too woke, you're not in your human. You think you're kind of God. You're playing the game of God, even though you are God.
But that's
Do you
not.
get what I'm trying to
but
say?
that's not what I'm talking about. Because that's when your mental, how we were talking about earlier, that's when your mental isn't at a balance with your physical. We're going into when you have that balance, get to the pinhole, and you're living those two existences at once. You gave like a sigh, and you're saying you're wasting your server. You're wasting the server. You're
I'm
wasting
saying
the
if
game.
you waste the server if you don't have a balance.
Okay, so yeah, I agree with that. Okay.
Because you're being in a place that you're actually not in. Like, one can happen, but the other one can't in a way.
Right.
Like, you can go out the game in your mind, but you can't be out the game in your mind. Like, I don't know how to describe that. Like, you can't, like, you can't control how woke you are once you're woke, right?
Right.
Because you're only gonna uncover more. Like, you're only uncovering
It's
more
like a
fucking
spiral.
truths.
Yeah.
Yes, and more fucking things
Yes.
to unpack.
Right. So at some point there's no choice.
Exactly. You just get out of your, it's like out of your control how much you know.
Right.
But what's in your control is that you're still human. And you still
Can bring
can
that
bring
factor.
yourself back
Ground.
to not
what
reality.
you were saying, no, what
Yeah,
you were
like,
saying,
ground.
it's on you when you finally reach that to ground yourself.
Exactly.
When
Or
you finally reach the
know
pin,
that, okay, so this
the
is what plays
pinhole
into,
is the gap.
Okay.
If you guys don't
so
fucking
this is
know.
what plays into.
I'm
I
recording
asked
this, by the way.
ChatGPT because I've
No,
been thinking
please.
I've been thinking
bring
about
AI
this.
into this
I've been
conversation.
thinking about this OD, right?
Right.
And I don't know why.
I wouldn't want to
It's
ask
just been
it
in my
this.
head a lot.
Please ask.
About the shrooms. So this is what I asked ChatGPT. I took shrooms and I had an eye-opening experience. I feel like I cried my whole life out and have never cried like that since. Although it was full of epiphanies and reflections, I haven't felt the same since in regards to connection with the divine and my spiritual self. I feel myself here, but now I feel more human than ever before. Whereas to before the shrooms, I felt like an earth angel walking on earth. Like I was
Same.
still connected with a side that I can't see, but I know it's there.
Right.
Now I don't feel like that at all, or I feel any emotion in the same way. What could have possibly happened?
Oh my god.
That's what I asked.
love that. I can
So
relate.
it says,
I
what
love
could
it.
have happened during the shroom experience? 1. Ego dissolution and emotional catharsis.
Ego dissolution.
Psychedelics like psilocybin can dissolve the boundaries of your ego. During this, many people access part of themselves or reality they normally can't.
The server.
The crying epiphanies and intense emotional release suggest that your ego and inner defenses
It's like a purge.
may have
shedding.
collapsed temporarily,
Oh.
allowing a flood of repressed material, grief, insight, even past life
Yeah,
or
like a
spiritual
purge.
identity to come to the surface and release.
Yes.
2. Connection to the divine, then disconnection. Before the trip, you felt like a spiritual being, an earth angel, with a sense of divine connection.
Purpose.
The journey may have shocked or reset something in your psyche. It may feel like you
Reset
lost that
something in that
connection,
psyche.
but what's happening is that the veil between the spiritual identity and the human experience has shifted.
It's shifted to a different, yeah.
So it's
You
like,
have like
I
a
don't
different.
know. It's
You have a lens that you can't, like, you haven't gotten back to where
exactly,
that
but it's
lens
okay.
was.
So look,
Yes, continue because it's
This
going with
is-
what we're talking about.
Listen,
With
this
the server.
is 3. What goes into what we're talking about?
Yes. Okay.
That made me think
Go,
of it.
go.
3. You grounded more fully into your humanity.
The
Psychedelics-
grounding.
Yes, psychedelics often bring people back to the realness of the human, raw, emotional, flawed, vulnerable. That might feel like a loss of spiritual connection, but it may also be a deep integration of the spiritual into your humanity. So it was almost like my whole life I was a human
You were living.
trying to
Yes.
like gain this, where like the shrooms
No, you were.
integrated
Yes,
the
it, like,
spiritual
collapsed,
into my
yeah.
humanity, where
Yeah.
I was like a humanity trying to integrate my spiritual. That is, I was a
Yes.
human trying to integrate spirituality, where now spirituality is integrating into me being a human.
Or is
That's
it not the
exact-
opposite?
Deep integration of the spiritual into your humanity. So look, you're not less spiritual, you're just more here. That can feel jarring or even hollow at first, and that's exactly
You're
how I
living
feel.
more through it.
Exactly. That's exactly how I feel. Like I feel hollow.
Yeah.
Like I feel like after that.
Before it was full because
A
you're
little bit.
gaining all these things and you purged it all out in a way.
Yeah. So now
I
it
get
feels
what
like
you're
there's
saying.
something. Okay. So this is what it says.
Go.
Why you may not feel emotions or divinity the same.
Emotions and divinity.
1. Spiritual identity shift. Before you may have found this. Like when I've read it, I'm like, yo.
Go.
It may.
Come on.
Yeah. Before you may have found safety or purpose in your higher identity, which
Okay.
was a me. Like I found safety and purpose in my spiritual.
Like that was a comfort
in my spirit
blanket.
guides, like
That
my
was a
yeah,
safety
like
net.
pray, yeah.
Yes.
After the journey, that role or archetype may have dissolved.
Yes.
You're now navigating life from a more bare, stripped down version of self.
God.
And the divine might feel absent simply because it's not being experienced the
It's
same
not
way.
being perceived.
Exactly.
Yes.
2. Nervous system impact. That goes into what you tell me.
The
about.
nervous system, yes.
Listen,
Okay.
what you tell me. A deep psychedelic experience can shock your nervous system. If you release a lifetime of emotions, your system might now be in a kind of numb or recovery state. A natural
Okay.
pause, almost like an emotional
Like a sanctum.
laryngitis.
You're at a sanctum
So yeah,
within
like
yourself.
it's like, you know when you say like you're just numb, it's
Yeah.
not that I'm numb. Like I don't know how to describe it. It's like I'm like
It's like indifferent.
What the fuck?
It's indifferent.
It's just I don't know.
To everything that was. I said that before.
Like recovery state is the best way. Like I'm trying to recover from like my life that's
Right.
still going on,
that you haven't
and
stopped.
that's why
yeah.
I get so like, what the fuck?
Okay,
Like,
so
it's
this
just
kind of
so
goes
much.
with what this. I know you gotta finish that,
3.
but this kind of goes with what we were talking about. The whole kind of like creation, what you create and what you get, the data that you are installed,
Yeah.
all of that. How we're saying your life, you've already been installed with so much things that you basically had to purge it out before you could continue. Then, in a way, like going back into the house of the stagnancy and the like, in a way, connecting that with the pinhole. What?
No, just continue.
What were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna explain why I even asked this question at ChatGPT.
Okay, I get it. Okay.
But you
Yes. What's it called? I feel like you not living within your experience enough, or the server enough, or in the ways that you're in a way meant to, altering you to basically shift your perception or your lens so that you can fit into it the way you're supposed to.
Yeah.
In a way. That in itself shows the laws of nature, or at least our nature, you know, within the server. Why it connects with the pinhole and like you not being able to breach different alternatives or different timelines, different alternate universes. That being something that you can bring your physical and your mental with, but still it would go against the laws of nature themselves.
Yeah.
Because you're in two places at once, and then you gave the sigh. What I'm getting from it, just from what you're saying right now too, it's kind of like, damn, I'm completely losing this. Hold on. As I'm like thinking more about it. Okay. The laws of nature show themselves. But they also, the laws of nature show themselves, but they also keep themselves hidden in a way. They keep themselves hidden, still altering you to the ways you're supposed to navigate yourself. But in a way, being completely kind of like stripped away from your lens, the eye that you perceive with, those laws of nature don't apply or can apply, but you're pushed in a way how you're saying that spiritual, you were flattened down. Now spirituality is flattening you down as a human instead of you coming. Yes, you get what I'm saying,
yes,
right?
Okay,
go.
Like in the way that, this is how I felt. I felt like when I connected, I would reach up.
Because I agree with you.
Like I would not reach up, but I'd be like I'd be. It
still felt light.
Not I would be lifted.
No. Like okay, go.
Where now it feels like I'm being
pushed more down.
Pushed down.
Suppressed down. Not suppressed, but
like
more
it's like as
compressed.
If I jumped off a cliff and I realized I could fly,
right.
And I went up, and then the gods fucking struck me down like me.
Yeah.
Back to fucking earth, and I hit a rock and a bitch like broke all her bones. And now I'm learning to walk again.
I get it.
So I feel like, oh shit,
right.
The fuck. That's how I feel.
Okay, so I was talking about the laws of nature, right? How the laws of nature show themselves, but they also take themselves away from your lens.
Yeah.
That interplay, you know how we're talking about interplays a lot, right?
Yeah.
What I was gonna ask, or not ask, but more into the like ChatGPT, how it was talking about. First, you gotta continue telling me. No, I don't, because that AI shit is scanning our information.
But why the fuck is it so fucking
okay,
big?
No, for real.
Why is it so good?
What's it called? I feel, talking about the ChatGPT, I was just about to say this actually, and we're talking about it coincidentally. In a way, the laws of nature right now are showing or trying to show themselves to the absolute most. Like, you know? Do you not feel it at least?
To the absolute most, or not like the absolute most?
No, to the absolute most.
I think because, it's not to the absolute.
Because, no, you're not feeling it individually, but it's being brought out of you. It's like being purged out of us individually, so it can be within the collective.
Okay,
within the collective, in a sense,
example.
yes. Within the collective, in the sense where If you're no longer feeling it as an individual and it's outside of you,
I get
you
what
get
you're
what I'm trying to say,
saying.
right? They're showing themselves to the collective in the
So
most
it could be
profound
integrated
ways, so it can be integrated collectively. And that's what I was just about to say about the ones and the zeros. You get it, right? Okay, the ones and the zeros. We purge creation. We purge, yes. You broke something in your brain. We purge, you get it, right? You're getting it. The laws of nature are showing themselves in the most profound ways, but we are not seeing it because it's not to the individual. It's to the collective now. It's not the individual anymore. So the age of Aquarius, yes. Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. Why now? Though?
Why now is the question.
And why us?
But I
Why
feel like
have
it's
we
also
been
not
chosen?
about, yes.
All of us
Going into
that are
manifest.
living
That's
right
why I
now.
was telling you about the ones and the zeros. We all have a play into it. So it's not just a one and a zero. They have a life or they don't. They live it. They don't. They
No, but I agree
it
with
goes
that.
into it. It goes into it. But it's also purposeful to why we're still standing. The soldiers, the Gideon soldiers. You know how we were talking about that. I feel like the laws of nature are showing themselves to the most profound ways now.
Okay.
Because we're in a like Goldilocks zone. You know how earlier in the year, please bear with me.
Okay.
I was going through this whole psychosis. Right?
Okay,
I was going,
we're getting into this.
I was going
Everything's
into
connecting
yes.
right
I
now.
was going
Hold
into
on.
this whole psychosis
Okay.
about the planets,
It's
right?
connecting.
You're getting it, right?
No, Mario, because what I'm gonna say.
What are
next
you
time
gonna
you
say?
finish. No, keep going.
No, I could stamp this thought.
No, okay.
Because I know what it's
the
connected
reason
to.
why I connected is because when I asked about the reason I asked ChatGPT about the show experience in the first place is because I basically watched this video of this TikTok girl. Basically, she was talking about how she did shrooms one time. She had a crazy ass experience.
Right.
She smoked weed, and from there, it triggered a psychosis in her.
Oh no.
And she had never been the same like for 2 years. And she said that she felt like she couldn't trust nobody, and like everyone was against her. But it was like in her own head.
You know that's
so it was
crazy
like
because-
listen. So she was saying how it was like in her own head.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was like as if like she thought in her head it's like my family members like they're like I can't trust them. And like she was saying like when she started seeing manifest itself physically, that's when she knew like okay, bitch. Like she was like I knew I was in control when it was in my head. When I'm like, oh, all these bitches is against me, and I would literally make diss tracks. She said I would make diss tracks of like family members, how they're like setting me up. And
Oh
shit.
no.
But then when it started getting physical, like a bitch would be cursing and pacing back and forth in her room.
Oh no.
And like I literally was the type of bitch I would sit down and be like, the walls are speaking to me.
Yes,
like if someone's hearing me.
This goes into, okay.
Listen, someone's hearing me. She was like, that's when I knew that I need to put the weed down. Cause she was like, cause at first she was in denial.
Yeah.
Like every time she was with weed, she'd enter a psychosis, like a deep, like she was never the same.
I feel the same with weed right now, just
She
because
said
like
she
it
put
gets
the
me
weed
into
down.
a shy state
She
that I
put
don't
the weed
like.
down, and then she was like that. It was like it snapped her back, and she literally like, and she was like, and the scary thing about it is that it's like a slippery slope. Like you never know that you're in it until you come out of it. And you're like, bitch, you were fucking crazy. So what made me think that is, what if this numbness I feel is a psychosis?
Okay.
What if I'm in a psychosis right now?
Could be.
Right? So and that's what made me ask that. And then when it was telling me
It could
about
be a
the
manic state.
spiritual integration and shit,
Yeah.
it made more sense because that's how I feel.
Right.
Like, I don't think it's necessarily a psychosis. I think it's like a deep like shock of like what the fuck.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how to describe.
You know what I was
it.
thinking about when you were saying that? You know the friend David that I had, whatever.
Yeah.
He told me about this time. I was gonna tell you about this, but I completely forgot. Told me about this time that back in his teenage, whatever, a couple years ago, he was this was like in the bus, right, going to Soho.
Okay.
He told me that he did these edibles that ended up being DMT. That he thought it was
Can
just
that be
THC.
a thing?
No, yes.
Now you gotta watch out for shit
He
like
bought
that.
them off Amazon, first of all, yes. He ate too much of it, like 13 of them, thinking it's THC. It's
How do you
DMT.
buy that off of
I don't know. I asked the same questions. He showed me the fucking shit itself. I was like, damn, what the fuck? I gotta be careful. Same thing that you're
That's
saying.
scary.
But basically, he took a lot of it. Went into this whole, like, basically, because I was explaining the whole schizophrenia in the family. like our family, schizophrenia, whatever.
Yeah.
He brought that up because he said that he went schizophrenic by that time. Like they had a diagnosis for him that they've never found, ever, because he took that and went into like this mental thing where like he looked up at the sky and he saw like faces stare at him and talk to him, and like he basically
What?
after that he went into like a more reserved person, like a totally reserved person. He is. I met him as a reserved, like you're mad
Yeah.
reserved. Although I know you have this side inside of you that like you're full of every type of information or whatever. Like
Yeah.
you know, you be aware. I told him that.
Yeah.
Like I know you're aware because I see it, but you like play it down.
Yeah.
I told him that exact same thing, right? And he was saying that it was because of that. That experience completely changed the person that he was. He was like a very like just like, you know, very like hyper, kind of like fixated child that like just does shit.
Yeah.
Just does shit. After that, he literally had to stay in the hospital for 14 days because
it was, like, so serious?
serious shit. Like he went to the asylum basically. He went to the asylum because he wanted to like, they thought that he wanted to kill himself because he was seeing the faces again. He was seeing like this shit. He was explaining it so serious, so it was not a joke at all. He was seeing these faces.
I don't know how
right?
you would say serious.
No. I was like the whole time, like it was going down in my head. But he was saying like these faces got him so pissed after a while. He wasn't telling anybody about them. Nobody knew. Like when he told somebody, they thought he was crazy, like that ass. But like these faces got him like
so mad
that his phone, he banged it on like glass, like his glass counter, and it all broke. And like they thought that he wanted to kill himself because they already thought that he was going through like this manic thing, whatever.
Yeah.
So they put him into the asylum for 14 days, had him like literally fucking wash. Like I don't know what they gave him. They gave him something. He told me like something specifically that I saved. I don't know where I saved it, but basically that took after 14 days. That took it out of his system, or like something was taken out of his system that like completely alternated the way his brain worked. But he said that ever since he hasn't like seen things the same at all, and that like made him question in my head like, why am I meeting you right now? Like as a, like it went
Wait,
into
so
like,
the faces
yes.
just went away?
They didn't. I didn't go into that.
Mario, I hate that you've never asked a lot of questions.
I didn't go into that because there was a lot of questions asked. I'm giving you a brief. That was brief. There was a lot more to that conversation, which I wish the nigga spoke because I would ask him more. But whatever.
Yeah.
The whole point was back into the lens. How your
No,
lenses.
we're not just gonna skip
No,
past
we're gonna
that.
hold on.
Did the nigga see those faces?
We're on record right now, so we have to hold on. Yes, I'm recording. But going back into the lenses, how like your lenses can be altered throughout the experience at any given point. And that goes with how you're meant to view the experience nonetheless.
Yes.
That goes with it.
I agree.
Nonetheless, because it wouldn't happen at all.
Yes.
Talking about that and that being the how. You know how I was asking you the how? Do you know what you're serving, what you're maintaining in the server?
Yeah.
In a way. Okay. This is gonna be a little hard to like put together. Okay. Does the server not want you to change the way it's been served? Does the matrix not want you to change the way it's been coded? Does reality not want you to alternate or bring an alternative to the way it's been realmed? Do the laws of nature not want you to give them a different element to possibly go by?
I don't think that it doesn't want you to. I think it just hasn't happened.
Okay.
Yet. Like, I don't think.
But it's that same push-up when you're trying to manifest something.
Or maybe
you can't want it too much because it can't want that to happen so much to the point that it's attracting it because it's then propelling it. So it has to propel it. The laws of nature have to propel it enough.
That's
just
what
like
I was
us,
trying
hold
to
on.
say.
They have to propel it enough so that it could come to. It could, that new element, that new foundation, that new realm.
But that's what I'm trying to say.
Bring something different.
It it can happen.
Right.
Like how you just say propel it. Like when you said that, I thought of how like if enough people wake up and break out the matrix, then the matrix that the breaking out the matrix wouldn't be a thing anymore.
Right.
Matrix wouldn't exist.
Right.
Because
Everybody will be logged off.
Everyone, yes. So I feel
out.
like, well, the laws of nature,
The grounding.
have it so that
The grounding. It grounds you so that the lens is.
not even